So this is the place, Bruce said, looking at the chrome-covered building in front of him. Second largest temple of the synth ascendancy on Centris, replied Ray. Wait, why aren't we going to the largest? Because it's right in the center of a gravid-controlled spire that happens to be part of the arraignment systems. Well, not actually part of the AS, as that would be illegal. I thought the legal code had more loopholes than laws here. Yep, it does. Which is why it's legal to detain a man there until the authorities deem it safe for him to leave, which just so happens to be when he has 100+ wives. But they aren't part of the AS, so it might be a bit easier to annul those marriages. Bruce gave his friend a side eye. How much easier? In the same way it's easier to lift a sperm whale than a blue whale. Ah. Bruce returned his gaze to the building, and then strode forwards. Well, standing around here isn't doing anything, let's find a receptionist or something. Ray glanced at his communicator before following Bruce. Our appointment isn't for another half an hour. Shouldn't we wait? Not out here. We are attracting attention and won't be long until someone bold enough to make a move shows up. Dealing with that could make us late. Oh. Ray looked around. The pedestrian traffic in the area had come to a halt, with many gazes on him and Bruce. Ray walked faster, catching up to Bruce as the temple doors slid open. The inside of the temple proved to be slightly less chrome-covered, as the floor had an image of an electronic circuit woven into the carpet. Still following Bruce, Ray habitually started tracing out the circuit with his eyes, trying to see what the circuit would do as Bruce approached the front desk. Behind it sat a Felly, who had something flickering in her eyes. The flickering stopped when Bruce got to the desk. Welcome to Well, hello there. Welcome to the Synth Ascendancy. How can I help you? My name is Bruce Sage, and this is Ray Brooks. We have a consultation with Dr. Deborah Gear. The flickering returns to the receptionist's eyes for a few moments, then stops. Ah yes. You are a bit early, so please have a seat. The doctor will be with you shortly. Thank you, miss. Bruce turns to Ray, who now had his communicator out and was comparing the floor circuit to something on it. You good buddy? Ray ignored him, and began muttering about capacitors and resistors. You're good. Bruce walked over to one of the couches next to a wall and sat down, watching Ray as he wandered around the room, staring intently at the floor. Bruce was starting to get bored when, "You seem focused," says a voice from beside him, and Bruce barely stops himself from jumping off the couch. Sitting on the couch was a red-scaled cob with a pair of cyberarms and a big grin. I sat down over a minute ago, and you didn't notice. Bruce grinned ruefully. Sorry, I was a bit worried about him. When he finds something interesting, he can get a bit absorbed. I didn't want him just pushing someone out of the way instead of asking them to move. Seems to me like you can get absorbed as well. The cob points out. Bruce resumed Ray watching not as much as he can. He once walked into a pillar and apologized to it 3 times in a row. He was probably going to do it again if I hadn't pulled him to the side. Well, at least he found a partner that cares for him. MHM. A few moments pass. Wait, no, we aren't like that. You are not. My apologies. There weren't any details in the appointment notes beyond your names. Bruce thinks a bit, then gives the cob a suspicious look. How do you have access to the appointment details? Sorry, I am used to being recognized on site. I am Dr. Deborah Gear. Nice to meet you. Ah, Bruce was it? She said, offering her hand. Suspicions mollified, Bruce shakes her hand. Yes, I'm Bruce. If you don't mind me asking, are you related to Lady Gear of the Octrin Spin? No, not by blood at least. Often the head of a temple will take the name of Gear and discard their old name, in the same way we discard our bodies of flesh to take new ones of metal. I personally have kept my name and added Gear to it, as I have not completely divorced myself from my flesh, but instead have added to it. Well, if you are ready, let's grab Ray and O. The man in question was walking quickly across the room, eyes on the floor, on a collision course with a rabbi's woman who had the same flickering in her eyes that the receptionist had. Bruce stood up, hoping that whatever happened wouldn't require violence. To his great relief, Ray stopped before colliding with the woman, as she was standing on the trace he was following. "Pardon me, miss, but could you step to the side? You are standing on," Ray said, politely looking her in the eyes before flicking back to something that caught his eye. "Miss, do you have artificial breasts?" Confused, the rabbi's blinks a few times, the flickering in her eyes disappearing. "What? Do you have breasts made out a non-flesh substance that you attach to your body in the place of ones made of flesh?" "Ah, yes." "Why? You appear to be mostly natural. Did you have an accident and couldn't afford a healing coma?" "No, these were my choice. What are you?" She stops, and sniffs the air a bit. Ray fails to notice the look on her face. What benefit do they provide? If they are just to provide food for your children, wouldn't something not attached to you be less awkward? "Well, if you have some time I could show you." "Yes, I am early for my appointment. Please, enlighten me." "Not here, come with me." Ray watches her walk off, then snaps his fingers. "Right. Visual inspection would be impaired by coverings, and public nudity is somewhat illegal." "Very well." He then follows her. Bemused, Bruce stares after them. The direction the conservation had gone, along with the positive response, had thrown him for a loop. "Well, that happened," he said, to no one in particular. "You sound surprised. Is such a thing unusual?" said Dr. Gear. "Well, back on Earth walking up to some random woman and saying that you are interested in their breasts would get you slapped, not an invitation to look at them." "Does he do that often? Find something interesting and do something socially unacceptable in pursuit of knowledge?" "Almost every day." "I meant the forwardness to a woman. I've never seen him do it. Till today, I would say." Bruce sits back down on the couch. "Probably still not. If I know the guy, he's going to inspect her boobs with care, precision, and all the sexual energy of someone looking at bread. And miss every speck of innuendo." He bounced to his feet again. Wait, would she accept a no from him? Dr. Gear makes a few calming gestures. No glitch would force a man, especially one not married to them. No child should have a father that hates her mother, as it often turns into hate for the child. She catches Bruce's questioning look. Glitch is the term we use for followers of the synth ascendancy. Or one of the more common ones, at least. "I was more worried about having to delay your appointment, based on what I heard of humans in bed." Bruce had started to sit down but stood up again. "Wait, you're here. We shouldn't waste your time. My, aren't you the energetic one? Don't worry, while I am available the room is in use, and will be until the time of our appointment. Knowing the ones using it we may have to kick them out, but doing so before the scheduled time will cause unneeded conflict. Plus, far be it for me to interrupt someone's attempt at getting a husband." Bruce flops onto the couch, hoping that he could stay there this time. "Don't cockblock a bro, huh?" Dr. Gear blinks a few times. "I am unfamiliar with that saying." "Whoops, sorry. It's a human saying. Back on Earth, guys do the pursuing, and since cock is another word for penis and sounds similar to block in English, it became the standard term for preventing a guy from getting laid." Understandable. "Well, since we have some time, and my assumption of what this appointment was for is probably wrong, would you care to inform me of why you came? Unless you think Ray should be here, of course." "Sure, but I am curious. What did you think we were here for?" "I thought the two of you wanted a son." Bruce blinked a few times. "What?" "I assumed you two were together, and wanted a son not from one of you and a woman, but from both of you." "What? Is that possible?" "Yes. There are genetic specialists that can craft clones that are hybrids of two or possibly more different people of different races. Pulling genetic material from both of you to make a clone would be child's play, as you are the same race." "Okay, but why would we come to you?" Dr. Gear tapped her claws together. "I have a reputation, shall we say, that would encourage people to come to me with odd requests and not be judged for it. Either I would have put you in contact with a genetic specialist capable of cloning you a son, or possibly helped you myself." Help us yourself. Do you do cloning? No, not at that level at least. However, I am one of the best people when it comes to creating AI from brain scans, and could craft one that is a hybrid of two different people, effectively creating a son or daughter of the couple. Bruce leant back and rubbed his forehead. Okay, while I'm not interested in doing that, I do gotta know if you have done it. I have not. Doing so would be difficult, and would require two people of the same race and gender, and that understand all the risks. While I would like to try, I have yet to find another cob willing to try. And you were hoping to use us as guinea pigs. If using you as guinea pigs means trying out an untested procedure, then yes. She held up a hand to forestall Bruce's wrath. I first would explain everything, including the risks, and point out that cloning is far easier and less risky. Also, while the result would be considered your child, it would start as both of you, who would have agreed to the procedure. However, if I never mentioned this to anybody, I would never find someone willing to give it a go, and the procedure would remain eternally untested. I do want to know if it could work, and if it can't, I would ensure it never happens again. Bruce glared at her for a bit, then collapsed back on the couch. Okay, while that does sound bad, I guess only doing it with willing people mean I dunno. This is too much weird for me. Can we talk about something else? Very well. What is your reason for your appointment today? Right, that. Bruce sat up straight. I want cybernetic limbs. Arms and legs. Dr. Gear gave him a look. While you might have minor issues finding someone willing to do that to a man, booking a 4-hour appointment with me was probably unneeded. Well, I want special, custom-designed ones. Ones that won't stop working when hit with null. So you share our beliefs. Huh. Even inside cruel space, our faith flourishes. Would Ray also want these limbs? Bruce shrugs. Not certain. I always got the feeling that he might go all the way. He was really interested in that Lady Gear at least. She's a full conversion cyborg, yes? A glitch and a hopeful not lady but Lord Gear from inside cruel space wishing for my help. A grin slowly spread across her face. Well, I have to admit, I was not expecting this. I am actually excited about something. I may actually interrupt Susan, this is too good. Ah, but I see I will not have to. She pointed at Ray making his way across the room to them, then hopped off the couch. Come along you two, I am eager to start. She hurried off, beckoning them to follow. Ray gave Bruce a questioning look. That's Dr. Gear, I told her what I wanted, and she seems interested in finding out if it's possible. The two followed Dr. Gear down a few hallways until she opened a door titled Meeting Room 2. Right you lot, out. She barks, I got this room booked, go do your gaming elsewhere. There's a few protests from inside the room. There's nothing stopping you from using voice comms to yell at each other. Heck, I heard a girl got lucky with a human by doing so. Now GIT. A small horde of women sullenly storm out of the room, and Dr. Gear bundles the humans inside. The room did look like a meeting room, with a large table, a bunch of chairs, and a large screen currently displaying a landscape. Bruce looked around the room, and noticed a lack of computers. How were they playing games in here? I don't see any computers, and they weren't carrying any. They're glitches, either it's embedded in them or they are linked to their room rigs. Replied Dr. Gear, as she got on one of the chairs. This room has some of the best chairs, and they like being able to yell at each other. So, she fixed her gaze on Ray as he sat down. Bruce tells me you are the guy to talk to about null-proof cybernetics.